So the influential mind is really about how if we understand the human mind and if we understand thinking, we'll be better able to communicate information and advice to others. Now, often we're not really aware of the biases that people have in how they process information. For example, often if we want to change people's mind, we'd actually come and say, listen, I'm right and you're wrong, and here's all the data where I'm right and you're wrong. But in fact, that often doesn't have good outcomes, because when someone has a very, very strong belief, what they tend to do when they get information that doesn't fit that belief is either to ignore it altogether or to come up with new reasons that they haven't even thought about before of why they're right and the other person is actually wrong. So in fact, by giving people data, sometimes you can cause what's called the backfire effect, which means that people will actually be more grounded in their original opinions. It is when you're trying to convince people who may have a different opinion that data alone doesn't work. So on top of that, indeed, what we need to do is use other strategies, such as a story, right? A narrative, an example. So not just the figures and the facts, but we have to have an example of maybe a personal example of someone in their life. And also the emotion in it. Is our message something about, is it about hope? Is it about fear? Is it about joy? So we need to think about those aspects as well. So anytime we can reframe our message to say what needs to be done to make things better, that is more likely to grab attention and to cause action than just saying, this is terrible and these are all the bad things that can happen. Well, one thing to do is to try to think, is there actually common beliefs and common motives that we have with the people? And often you should be able to find something that's in common, and really start with that, focus on that, and go from there. So I think that would be the most important when trying to switch a negative view into a positive view. Another thing, if possible, is to use social incentives. So social incentives is simply stating facts like most people in your neighborhood vote for X, or most people in your neighborhood believe Y, right? And so that is very powerful when people, and of course it has to be true, but when people think that most people around them have a certain view or a certain action, they're more likely to conform to that.